I want to thank Dr. Louisa Ha and her team, ICS, the libraries, everyone who's made this possible. It is such an honor to get to share my story with you today, even if it's in a shorter version. I thought I would start with a question that I hope may resonate with many people in this room. And it's a question that I was asked time and time again as I was growing up as a little girl. I was asked the question, where are you from? And so in that particular question growing up, I would often answer automatically, and I would say, I'm from Indiana. And sometimes that answer would suffice and we'd move on to other conversational topics, but more often than not, the follow-up question would begin. And let me start this. So, here we go, yes. So moving forward, they would look puzzled and they would say, no, where are your parents from, right? And so I would explain that my parents are from Southern California. They met at UCLA, and this past week they celebrated their 60th wedding anniversary. So it's amazing. Yeah, they're still doing that. And so sometimes that would suffice, but more often than not, a follow-up question. You know where I'm going here? The follow-up question was, no, where are your grandparents from? In which case I would say, well, my grandparents, they're from Central California. And so this keeps going, right? And so eventually I put my conversational partner out of their misery, quell their curiosity, and basically explain my great-grandparents came from Japan. I am fourth generation Japanese American. And so that's kind of my initial identity. So as a fourth generation Japanese American, cisgender woman from Indiana, I grew up in the fringes of rural America and really carefully manicured suburban subdivisions. And it was a really interesting time. Today, though, I am proud to be one of over 400,000 people of Asian descent in Ohio and one of over 26,000 people of Japanese descent in this particular state. Who I am today is understood by my heritage, by my history, and the past. And so in my remaining 5 minutes-ish with you, I want to share briefly a bit about my family's story and how that informs how I came here and my experiences as an Asian American in the Northwest Ohio area. So starting with the past informs the present. Like many Asians, my family came to the United States with the hopes and dreams of a better future. And they established in the Central California area, and they were farmers. They nourished their families, their loved ones, the community with fruit from their orchards. But everything changed in World War II. After the bombings on Pearl Harbor, as well as FDR's Executive Order 9066, my family was forcibly removed by the US government from their homes on the West Coast, and they had to move inland. Now, unlike a lot of people of Japanese descent, in fact, over 110,000 people of Japanese descent, my family did not have to live in internment or incarceration camps during the war, but they did lose pretty much everything. The only things that they could keep with them was what they could carry and each other. And so in many ways, that history, through this intergenerational trauma, some really hard lessons were learned and passed along to me and passed along to my kids. The notion of the precarity of civil rights, the contested nature of citizenship, the dangers of silence, and the need to work collectively to support justice for all. However, it took me a little while to learn some of these really important lessons. And in fact, growing up as a little kid, I kind of ran away from it. I grew up in Indiana and often was the target of bullying. I would get racist chants on the school bus and in the playgrounds. People would make fun of me from the lunches that I brought to the cafeteria from home. And on a side note, in terms of your comments on food, Shala, I still maintain to this day that Spam sushi and hot dog sushi are delicious. You can come at me later. It's a conversation for another day, but I still love it. But you know, during this time, a lot of folks, I felt a moment of difference, a sense of othering. And my response as a kid was to keep my head down. I felt shame, but I let it linger in silence. It really wasn't until I got to college and specifically grad school that I started to explore my history, my identities. I took classes, I did research projects, I had great faculty mentors, and I started to open up conversations with my family. And I encourage you all to do that with your families, your loved ones, and communities. It was really eye-opening. During that time, I got involved in an Asian American civil rights organization, and I worked with a team to help establish an Asian American studies major or program and minor at Purdue University, where I was working on my PhD. This was a really revelatory period of time, and I started to have other questions, not the where are you from, but questions like who am I, and how can we work together to make better change. Moving forward, Northwest Ohio, how did I get here? I knew I always wanted to be a teacher and a mama. Those were two big lifelong dreams for me, and in 2011 they came true. I was really fortunate to get a tenure track faculty position at Bowling Green State University, and I also got married and so fortunate to become a stepmama of a lovely, lovely girl named Alexis. So my husband, Alexis, my fluffy dog named Dusty, we all moved out here in the Northwest Ohio area to try to figure it all out. Later we adopted a really sweet quarter horse named Tater Tot, and I gave birth to Sean, my son. And during this time, I think my notion of what it means to be Asian American has really expanded out, really thinking not just about who I am or who my community is, but really thinking more broadly of how we can work together more collectively. New questions are starting to emerge to me, things like, what does it mean to be the mother of a child who is both of Japanese and Irish descent in Northwest Ohio, especially during this very precarious and chaotic time? Questions about how can we work better together, and this craving for even more community and connection. I don't think I have all the answers, but I'm hoping together we can at least spark some conversations. Moving forward, I still have a lot of questions, but there are a few things that I'm certain about. When people ask me where I'm from, growing up I would say Indiana, but today, in this chapter of my life, I'm proud to say Perrysburg. I call Northwest Ohio my home, so I say I am from Northwest Ohio. Thank you so much.